Way back in January of 2024, I had on a guest named Robert, who is Bob Hosta Collection on Instagram. And the name of the episode was Bob Hosta Has a System. And in it, he talked all about how he collects cards. And he's very deliberate, very thoughtful, very intentional. And that episode blew up like no other episode I had had up to that point. And at that point, the show was about 7 or 8 months old and was doing okay. Nice, loyal group of listeners. I had so much fun doing it, just growing it and learning how to do it. But this episode took it to a whole new level because people, I think, love to think about how to think about their baseball cards and other sports cards. Well, in this episode, Robert, Bob Hosta Collection, returns. And this time, we are talking about rookie cards. A few weeks ago, he and I were DMing over Instagram about a rookie card of one particular vintage baseball player. And I'm not going to say who because I'm going to let Robert take control of the conversation once I get through with this introduction. And not only did we both struggle with this one player's rookie card, but the later playing days card, we actually liked the same one. It was like a fifth year card or something. And we both liked that one better. And we had never coordinated about this. We never talked about it. We just found out through the discussion that we were in the exact same place with this player, with the exact same struggle. And we thought this needs to be talked about because this rookie card discussion, it needs to be ongoing and it needs to be had. And so today we're having it. Robert, Bob Hosta Collection on Instagram is back on the shallow end. I'm Dave Schwartz. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get started. So it has been a while, but I'm really thrilled to welcome back Bob Hosta Collection on Instagram. Let's call him Robert for this conversation. And we have been wanting to talk baseball cards. So, Robert, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. Happy to be back. It's been a little while and excited to chat today.
So the origins of this chat started on an Instagram discussion we had, 2-3 weeks ago now, where we were talking about almost the exact same card and the exact same cards. And these ideas were going back and forth about why we wanted one versus the other, not even realizing at first that we were in the exact same almost dilemma. It was really crazy. So rather than me spoil it, why don't you talk a little bit about the player and the card, and that'll just sort of lead us into this conversation. Sort of that leads to this idea of why do we buy one card versus another when maybe the one that we end up not buying is the one we really want? And then 2, just sort of the decisions that we have to make based on these external and sometimes internal hobby forces. So why don't you take it away?
For sure. So I have a Hank Aaron problem. In my collection, I feel the need to represent Hank Aaron, which I think a lot of collectors do. And the 54 rookie card is kind of the first one you think of. But for me, I have a second layer of that. I'm a Tigers fan, and Al Kaline has his rookie card in that year. So I don't necessarily feel like I need to represent 54 in my collection because the 54 card for me is Kaline's. Additionally, I just don't think that card is a great looking card. I think it's kind of an awkward photo. The little picture of him is kind of awkward as well. And it's just something about it doesn't excite me, especially when you factor in what it costs. And I've had this thought of I like the 58 better, and it's significantly cheaper. It allows me to open up different options in my collection, and there's just something about it. I think it captures the likeness of Hank better, and I don't know if that's something we talk about enough, like whether the card captures what you kind of think that player actually looks like. There's some of these pictures just don't really portray them nicely in a way.
And I'm sorry if I misrepresent you, so please correct me if I do. But for people who aren't familiar with your collection, you like to have one card per set, right? So if you have a 1954 Topps of someone, K-line, you don't want to keep piling on more 54 Topps. Is that right?
That's kind of the goal. The goal is to kind of have like the iconic players and a lot of these classic sets represented. And there are certain times where, yes, you're going to need multiples in the same set, thinking like T206. You don't really have many options there. But for guys who have a longer playing days run, sometimes there's these gives and takes where, do I actually need the rookie card, even if I don't like it, is kind of where I'm struggling with.
And as we were chatting about this, DMing over Instagram, unbeknownst to you, I was in the exact same spot with the exact same cards because I wanted some sort of Hank Aaron representation in my collection. And at the time, I was thinking ahead to what I might be looking for at the National. And I kept thinking, I really should make it the rookie, I guess. But to me, the 58 Aaron is the perfect Hank Aaron card. The green background is beautiful. The image is still him young and up and coming, even though he was already cranking at this point, right? It's just a wonderful card. And this is the card that I want. But I keep hearing this nagging voice in the back of my head is, I'm just going to get one card of Hank Aaron. Why would it not be the rookie? And I didn't want to immediately dismiss this as an argument of, well, later playing day cards are important too. Rookies are overrated, because the rookies really aren't overrated. Rookies matter. Firsts matter. And if they didn't, then we have to go back and undo decades of strategy and habits of collecting baseball cards and sports cards. So where do you stand on the importance of rookie cards and where they stand? Where do you think they stand in the hobby, but also in your collection?
I think they're very, very important. It's a lot of times when you think of that player's card, it's the one that pops into your head at first. Like if I were to ask you, a Frank Thomas card, you're going to think of one of his rookies, whether it be the No Name or maybe the Leaf from the 90s. So there's this thought process in my mind that I think of players and I think of their rookie card first. And then in general, usually are pretty nice looking. Where it gets weird for me and where I kind of feel these rookie cards are overrated is like the multiplayer cards and stuff like that, they're not great looking cards. You got a couple guys who never made it. And you're kind of like wading through, like, do I really want this? Or should I go with something different? And when there's not a huge cost difference, I don't think it's as difficult. But with like the Hank situation we're in, it's all, for me, the ones I'm looking at, it's like 5 to 6 times the price. So that becomes a tough sell. Like, what else could I do with that extra cost? What else could I enjoy in my collection?
Just like you, I've always struggled with the dual rookie card thing. Pete Rose, Nolan Ryan, Tim Raines, other players where, like, I don't want them there. They're intruders, right? And so do you then pick up, the Tim Raines traded card instead, or the 64 Pete Rose, or whatever, whatever second card it is. But at that point, it's no longer a rookie card. And for those who understand history, the rookie card really became emphasized like late 70s, early 80s as sort of a financial type of thing, right? Get the rookie card. But even before then, it's the firsts still matter. So it becomes this reconciliation thing. And I want to really stay on the Hank Aaron thing for a little while. So we have this 54 Hank Aaron card, and I know some people don't like the word iconic, but it is iconic. It has that orangish, tangerine-ish colored background. I don't mind the main image, but I'm with you. Not a big fan of the second image down there. When I think of an outfielder, I don't think of them, fielding a single that got through the infield kind of a thing. But the cost is so much more. It could be 3 times more, depending what grade it is, 5 times, 10 times, who knows what. And like you said, what else could you get for the money if you ended up, instead of the 54, if you got the 58, or if I got the 58? which we also visually like better. What are we giving up? What do you think that we are giving up if we buy the 58 instead of the 54? And we can talk later about what we're getting in return. But what do you think we're giving up if we don't get the rookie?
I think there's a piece of it where we're giving up, like, sometimes it's continuity in our collection. I think sometimes when you're in a situation where you do have a lot of the rookies and most players you represent in your collection are with rookie cards, and then you kind of have this outlier, and that's kind of where I struggle with, in a way. Like, for me, I have Mantle represented with a non-rookie, but that's understandable with the cost of Mantle, I think, for a lot of people. But Hank kind of always is deemed as this undervalued player. So then to undervalue him further with I'm not buying the rookie card, I'll just buy a different card. That's kind of what we're giving up. But in a way, we're kind of staying true to ourselves in a way, because it's what we like. It's our collection. And the only people who would question it are those judging what we have, not necessarily ourselves, right? There will always be those cards out there. They're easy to, if you live without that rookie card, you can always get it in a way, right? It's not hard to find one. Maybe the right copy, sure, but I don't think anyone would say it's hard to find a Hank Aaron rookie.
No, they're not uncommon. That's for sure. They're out there, and it's just a matter of what your budget is and what your standards are. So if I hear you, it sounds like what we're getting in return is a card that we like better visually, right?
Yeah.
A card that we have thought through, and a card that I think we all overthink cards way too much. If we're in this hobby, we think about it when we're driving, we think about it when we're laying down at night, we're thinking about cards all the time. And so I think there's a voice that's worth listening to if it's being pulled toward a card like this one, right? The 58 versus the 54, there's a reason, right? So say a little bit more about why this is the card. You mentioned before the K lines in the 54, but move beyond the K line. What else about the 58 do you find more favorable to the 54? Keep in mind, you're not saying the 54 is an awful card. You're just saying you like the 58. So what is it about the 58 that you really like?
I think the first thing that strikes you when you go through Hank Aaron's player run, I think this one stands out with that green background. There's not a ton of green background cards. The one I think of off the top of my head is the Cobb T206. But beyond that, outside of iconic green cards, maybe Clemente, there's not a ton. And this one kind of like pops as this rich green background. Personally, I like the little bit of additional rarity with the yellow name variant that kind of matches the logo in the corner. And that just kind of, it just stands out. And you can find ones that have this green that looks like it was printed yesterday. And I don't get that feeling whenever I see like kind of 54s in a way. They don't have that like huge pop the way that the green does. Maybe it's just the way my eye is, but there's something about it. The picture's crisper. And you can kind of just see, it just captures this young Hank Aaron the way that I don't think any other cards do.
So what are some, maybe some other cards? Have you experienced this before where there's this push and pull between the rookie card and something else that you like?
So the one that came to mind, like after thinking about this, is I think Ted Williams is in that scenario where his 39 play ball kind of deemed his rookie card. Great looking pose, but it being in black and white kind of, I think, takes away a little bit from it. While you have like his 48 Leaf, which just looks like a piece of art. I'd even go as far as some of his 50s Bowmans are really, really great looking cards. And again, can be had for a fraction of what you'd have to give up to get a 39 play ball.
And this is funny, talking about how collectors diverge, in which, for me, I would love to someday own the 39 Ted Williams play ball. Like, I just love that old photo. It's not really zoomed in. It's black and white. He's just doing his practice swing or whatever, and he's kind of twisted around. But for you, like you called it the 48 leaf, you called it, I think you said a work of art was your term, right? It was a work of art. And it really is. And lots of, people feel that way as well. And that's like his 10th year playing days at that point as well, right? But I would imagine that if you imagined having that 39 play ball in your collection, even though it's Ted Williams' rookie card, you'd look at it and would probably just feel not underwhelmed, but you'd be thinking, this isn't really the right card for me. Is that right?
I think so. I think based on where I am collecting wise, budget wise, I've heard someone say this, and I love the term. It's just too much card for my collection. It's too much card. Like if you think of what percentage of value that would make up, even in because I collect in probably some of the lowest eye appeal, lowest grade versions of simply owning the card. And you cannot simply own that card without giving up quite a bit of money to make it happen.
You have one of the best collections, right? Because yes, you'll go low eye appeal, but it just doesn't feel that way if someone looks through your feed. It's sort of like the other, I think his name, Pictures of Cardboard, I think is his name as well. It's the exact same way. Like there is beauty in wear and tear.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
Yeah, and satisfaction in owning it and imagining what that card's life has been like and what has gone through to get to that point where some kid got it and loved it and then stuffed it in his pocket, or it went through a washing machine or who knows what.
Absolutely. And I think there's a beauty in the continuity of, so if you think of it, if you had some cards that were really high eye appeal and then some beaters with it, it would be it wouldn't look right together in a way. But to have the continuity of beat up, worn out cardboard, I think works in a way.
Yeah, I think one modern example of this, it changes, right? It changes this idea of the rookie card versus the non-rookie card. It changes when we get to more modern cards because now we've got multiple rookie cards to be thinking about. And one example that I think of is Shohei Ohtani. I like Shohei Ohtani. I've like others, like so many others do. But when you think about his iconic rookie cards, whether they're the Bowman or the Topps, there's the Bowman one where he's hitting Bowman Chrome. There's the Topps one where he's in the crane position ready to pitch. There's an updates where he's hitting, updates where he's pitching. But then there's Heritage. And you got that Heritage rookie, and that's where my mind goes for the Ohtani rookie card, where it's he's got the bat on his shoulder, or he's got it out. I can't remember what it is, but he's looking dead in the camera, and you get this feeling like, oh, this is who Shohei Ohtani is, right? It's something about the face. There's just something about the face where it captures him in a way others don't. But then you get that conflict. Well, you're going to put some money into an Ohtani rookie card. You're really going to get a Heritage, right? Well, you better get the black chrome refractor then, because that's the one that's going to be the more. No. What if I just want the one that's 2 figures instead of 4 figures, right? So that's sort of this modern dilemma is now getting the rookie card is not even enough. Now you have to get the right rookie card. And you can almost see, can't you, how if somebody were just getting into the hobby and they wanted to buy some players who they get to watch, no matter what sport, and they have to figure out what rookie card, their head would just implode.
It's incredibly complicated. I've moved away. I used to be quite into modern. I've moved away from it. The complexity, even as someone who's collected for many years and stepped away for maybe the last 5 in modern, still I couldn't tell you which one is the right one. But I think with the Ohtani, the thing that makes me like that one quite a bit is that it's a portrait. And I think that's kind of that's what makes the rookie card that gives you that little something is oftentimes, and I could be wrong, this is kind of off the top of my head, but it feels that most of the time rookie cards are portraits. And then as we go further into their career, we get more action shots, we get more variation in the images. But there's something about the portrait that we don't realize at first, but that's maybe what we're drawn to. I was just listening to a podcast maybe 2 weeks ago now, and it was non-sports cards, but it was about collecting nonetheless. And it was with an interior designer, and he says that, right now
I'm just really into portraiture. And that really resonated, right? Because you want to see who they are, especially early on. You want to see what they look like really young.
Mhm.
Because if they're lasting, you're going to be able to see the lines come on their face over the years. You talked about the Ted Williams card. You can't really see his face in that 39 card. What stands out about that card to me is just the sort of the faded black one. Even the more vibrant ones are still kind of faded. It just feels like a 1930s image to me, but you can't really see his face. Do you have portrait cards in your collection? And I know you do some hockey, you do some baseball. What do you like about portrait cards?
I think the first thing is you actually get to see what the person looked like, especially in older cards where the photography and some of the print technology wasn't necessarily great.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get to see what they look like. I have this issue with kind of the Gretzky rookie in that it's so iconic, maybe probably the most iconic hockey card, but it doesn't capture Wayne. He kind of just looking up at the scoreboard. It's not you don't go, wow, what a special card if you didn't know the name Wayne Gretzky, you wouldn't think it was special. It doesn't give anything that makes you feel like it's special. And I think the portraits sometimes do, like that mantle pose that on the 52 tops. It's something about that image. Even his Bowman 51 rookie kind of gives that like aura of something special.
It's a moment in time, right? That's what portraits do. And if you go back centuries, to queens and kings and allegedly, important people having their portraits taken, it was capturing them for all time. And I think that has trickled down into modern society in photographs and sports cards and everything else, that the portrait does have a special place. I have daydreamed about having a binder of nothing but portrait cards, largely because I have one of my kids is a photographer, and just hear her talk about portraits. She talks about them like differently. She has to set them up differently. The light is different. The facial expressions, it all matters. There's no bat, there's no skates, there's no anything for the most part, right? Maybe it's in the behind the head or something. But the portrait is where you really see the baseball player or the hockey player or whoever. So getting back to what we're discussing with the Aaron, here's the 54 again. And it's not necessarily a portrait, because the portrait has the subject looking at the viewer. So while this is a close-up of his face, it's a profile. It's not a portrait. It's almost a side profile. Whereas 58, it's a portrait, right? It's a portrait. I tell you, man, are we thinking too hard about this? Do you think that there's value in thinking about our cards this way?
I think there is. I think at the end of the day, if they didn't have, I think the price of them really is what makes it so difficult. I really do think that, right? I think if you wanted just, the Heritage Ohtani, it's tens of dollars and you can just enjoy it, right? If you truly just enjoy the card for the card, right? But it's not that way when it comes to some of these vintage cards and these vintage rookies. And you can think of it. I always think of what would you give up on the other side instead of what you couldn't buy. And I think that's why we have to think so heavily, because no one's budget's unlimited. And you might be able to check off a few more things on your want list, and you end up getting the card you truly wanted because you thought about it and you spent time with what you currently have and to figure out what you like. And then you can continue to grow that collection around what you like.
And then, no regrets on that angle, right? How often every now and then we might regret, I wish I bought that one card because it's gone up in X value. But we've all had that feeling of a card coming in the mail. We open it, we think, instantly, right? Nope.
No, not it.
And if we can do anything along the path to prevent that from happening, such as, I know this sounds crazy, getting the card you actually want, right? Like getting the 58, maybe that's just the easiest thing, but it's hard, right? With with modern cards, again, things like pop counts are like an ugly stick, right? It's like getting a pop count gets, there is, going back to the Otani, you have the base card, which is tens of dollars, and the pop count in the thousands upon thousands. And then you've got, say, the gold refractor out of 5, right? And the only difference between the two of them is how many there are, and one is a little shinier. And you're going to be paying, I don't know, 100 times at least to get the gold one. But yet it's just the pop count, and you forget how beautiful that card is because you're just thinking about how many there are. And does that even matter? Do pop counts just get in the way of our ability to appreciate the intrinsic value of a card? What do you think?
I think we've gotten so obsessed with the value on things to the point where it becomes this, like, you kind of forbode yourself from doing something. And the first thing I think when you start talking about pop counts and we're talking about portraits is that 89 Ken Griffey.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever I see it posted, I see, especially when larger accounts will post it that get non-collectors maybe, commenting, there are still people that say, that's my grail. I dream of owning that card. And it's the most graded card ever.
Oh, yeah.
And there's still people who desire it. So I think if we step back outside of maybe the small hobby circle that we live in, there are still people who don't care, and we should live that way a little bit more and not care about it as much, right? Because is it an investment? Sure, but in a way we can enjoy it for what it is, in a way,
right? Which is a touched up, photoshopped version of his profile pic, right? Because he actually wasn't wearing the Mariners uniform.
No, he wasn't. I mean, that's why that's why Bowman Chrome is so popular, because it's the same thing. We just airbrush the uniforms on the players and call it a day.
Yep. Perfect. Right? Well, yeah, Juan Soto looks completely natural, right? In his first Bowman Chrome with that giant hat.
Ugly card.
Yeah. Terrible card. Getting back to the Griffey thing, it's funny. That's a card that I want to own. I have owned it when I did not think I was going to get back into cards. At one point, I sold my copy of it. That's okay. Whatever. I can get it back. And every time I think, what, I really want to have this card represented in my collection, I stop. And the reason I stop is because I can get it anytime I want. It's back to the pop count issue. But I don't turn it away because the pop count is high. And I don't want it to not be special, whatever. It's because other things I want are appearing and they're harder to get. So the opportunity is I better get that other one now, because the Griffey will always be there. It's like another version of the pop count. One of them is, it makes it less special because there are so many. But the other side is you don't have to get it now because you can get it whenever you want. There's just, printed to the moon. That card was just printed to Mars.
Oh, yeah. There's so many angles of what to buy next, and something that I always think about. And I don't see a ton of content or anything related to that. How do you structure a want list, and how do you, and that's kind of what this kind of really is kind of around, is how do you structure that want list, and how do you create priority in your collection and what you want to go after?
How do you create priority in your collection?
So for me, and I know it probably sounds silly, but I really tried to move the higher dollar cards up, because it's easy to splurge. And if you have that goal, you actually will save for them. And I kind of fund a lot of my cards through kind of selling on eBay and trying to consolidate loads of $6 to $10 cards into, $1,000 card. And doing that, you have to stay disciplined and actually kind of create a want list. That what I do is I have 2 or 3 things in the top priority, and those are the only safe searches I'll allow on eBay. I won't have my whole want list on eBay.
Where do you
keep just noise?
Where do you keep your watch list then?
My want list is I keep it just in Excel.
Okay.
But yeah.
So say more. So your watch list is, you said 2, 3, or 4 cards or whatever, and it's just the highest priced ones. Is that it?
Generally, it's highest price plus kind of what I feel I'm missing in my collection right now. And then I won't add to it until I kind of finish off that small grouping. So for right now, I had 3 cards on my want list: the red Portrait Cobb, the 34 Gaudi Lou Gehrig, and the 39 Gaudi Heads Up DiMaggio. Which, you want to talk about beautiful cards, that is an ugly card, and I love it. You have no idea. So those were the 3 that I came into 2025 with. That's all I want to buy. I've bought 2 of them so far. So now the only card on my watch list is the 39. On eBay, that's the only safe search outside of my like small PCs. That's the only thing of any significant value that is out there.
Is the thought with having only the highest price cards on your watch list, the thought is like you're saving and you're saving and you're saving and you're putting money into your card fund, that if something smaller pops up and you want it, then you've got the funds already there? Is that sort of an added benefit to it, where it's like, oh, I didn't expect this card to be there, and it's like a cheapie, but I've been saving for this Heads Up, and I can pull from that because now the funds are there because I was aiming this high?
That is part of it. The other part of it is I know that for what I'm selling on eBay, as time goes on, it'll sell less quickly. Whatever I have listed, it'll be less liquid. And I'm just pulling from my collection. I don't buy a collection. I'm just trying to thin my collection out to do this. So for my thought process is eventually I will be making less and less money on eBay a month. And once I get to that point, I'll be happier if I have lower dollar cards available to buy on my want list instead of saving up. That might take me, 7-8 months to get to a higher dollar card would.
Got it.
That's that's kind of the thought process.
Sorry, perfect. Got it. I cut you off there. My apologies. So while you have the inventory to sell and save for the higher cards, that's how you have purposed your inventory, right? Until it dwindles. Got it. Makes sense. So let's say if someone decided to come to you, Robert, and say, I need a consult here, and I can't decide what card here I want to get. Do I want to get the 63? I don't want to use Pete Rose. He's a bad example, right? Do I want to use the 70? Do I want to get the 74 Dave Winfield rookie card in the Padre uniform, which is like his rookie card? It's a great set. Or do I want to get his 85 Topps card because I'm a Yankees fan and I think of him in the Yankees and that's where I grew to love him, but I really should get the rookie card. And I don't want you to decide for me, but what should I be thinking about? Like, what questions would you ask this person to help them decide for themselves which of the Dave Winfields is best for their collection?
I think the first thought is like, what does the rest of your collection look like? Right? Because if you're like a hardcore Yankees collector, I don't know if that Padres card makes sense. That's kind of my first thought process. The next one was kind of, would you feel that like it's not enough of a card to represent Winfield? Do you feel like you're like shortchanging his career by, just getting an 80s card for him versus his rookie? Because there is not a huge price disparity. Say just in raw, if you want just to buy raw copies of each card, it's not insane. But I think that's kind of the thing. The other one is just, do you like the image on the rookie card? Just purely, do you like the way it looks? Like for me, I think that Winfield card is so awesome looking, but maybe some people go, I don't know, the brown Padres uniform, not for me. And the other wrinkle is, if it's not enough card for you in 85, what if you got a signed version? Maybe the autograph would be enough card that you feel you represent Winfield properly in a Yankee uniform that way.
So in a way, you transform the 85 Topps, which is so many printed, but you transform that into sort of a parallel, right? You make it a little bit more special, and you get the auto, and maybe even get it yourself, right? You don't just buy one, but maybe you go through the mail and you get Winfield to sign it yourself, and that becomes the card.
Yeah, in a way, that's kind of my thought is always maybe the autographed version, if it's not a high dollar card and maybe not a crazy autograph, the player's still alive, can scratch that itch of like, I don't love the rookie card. I don't love the iconic card, I love the different one, but I need it to be more in a way.
Why do you think, and as we start to wind down here a little bit, I'm gonna take us back to where we started. Why do you think that we, as human beings, this might be too big of a question for a baseball card podcast, but why do you think we continue to be fascinated with rookie cards and owning them and the idea of them, even when there are so many other cards that might look better of a given player?
I think it starts from when we start collecting and you start learning about cards. And we're kind of conditioned that the rookie cards are important. And you're always told the rookie card from when you start, as I did, right? And so then that kind of gets you conditioned. You then start learning more about cards. You see these iconic lists and it's always rookie cards. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy that we, think they're important. The media tells them we're important, and then we feel the need to go buy them. And that has to become our collection in the majority of cards. I think it's going to change. I think things will change. I'm noticing it now because when I grew up collecting, and this is like in the 2000s, kind of the dead era of the hobby, rookie cards in a way were popular, but the chase was the autographs and the jersey cards and all these kind of things. And now I feel like parallels have really taken off. And while rookies are important, there was a huge collecting base of the parallels, which I never felt in the 2000s was a thing. And it was shocking to me when I kind of really started diving back heavily into cards and this parallel love that was never really talked about.
Is it parallels in general or parallels of the rookie card that further like a funnel, just narrow it down?
Now it seems to be where everything is going. And maybe because they can print to the moon if you can just create parallel after parallel after parallel. But yeah, like I just don't know if the rookie card now is as important when there's 1,500 different variants. And I think at one point there were about 1,500 one-of-one rookie cards of Trevor Lawrence or some silly number that I saw. It's almost the entire population count of that Joe DiMaggio I'm chasing. Like just in one-on-one parallels.
Yeah, it's almost like by creating these special parallels, we devalued what the rookie card was. In the 80s, the emphasis on the rookie card devalued the later playing days cards. And now as the hobby has progressed, the parallels, the inserts have devalued the rookie card. So I guess the question is in 2060, what's going to devalue the parallels? Who knows? Right?
Who knows, right? We already see some of the devaluing of parallels. Oh, it's not a true blue. It's not a true gold. We already have a reason to tell you why what you might like is actually not good. And you're wrong for buying that one.
That's right. Let's laugh at the guy who bought the blue lava instead of the true blue out of 150.
I do always get a kick out of that, right?
Awesome. I feel like we could go on for this for like 2 or 3 more hours, but I'll let you go. And we've got to do this again. Let's not wait so long next time. But Bob Hosta Collection on Instagram. Robert, thank you so much for being here and talking through some cards.
Thank you, and good luck at the National. And let's hope maybe you come home with that 58 Aaron.
Fingers crossed. Take care.
Let's hope so. Thanks, bye.